You ever notice how reality used to be something you could actually touch? You know, like a doorknob, or a sandwich, or a person you were actually talking to. Now reality is this, floating suggestion. A loose idea, something we keep trying to refresh like a bad phone signal. Oh, hold on, life's buffering. People aren't living anymore, they're just loading. Everywhere you go, folks are walking around like their brains are running on 2% battery in low power mode. Expressions frozen, thumbs trembling, necks permanently bent like they're worshiping their phones. Whole species of humans walking around like Wi-Fi extenders with legs. And God forbid the signal drops. They panic like they just lost a kidney. No bars? What do you mean, no bars? How am I supposed to exist without bars? Reality used to slap you in the face. Now people won't look up long enough to notice they're being slapped. We've reached a point where people trust their screens more than their senses. If they see smoke outside but didn't get a notification about a fire, they assume the smoke must be a filter. Oh no, that's not real. That's just the world updating its graphics. We're not even surprised anymore when the planet goes crazy. We just scroll past it. Earth could literally send us a push notification saying a system error. You're screwed. And people would still swipe it away like a pop-up ad. We've disconnected from everything that matters. Nature? Forget it. The closest most people get to nature is a wallpaper on their phone of a beach they'll never visit because they're too busy pretending to have a life online. Conversations? Nope, those are just verbal downloads nobody listens to. Emotions? Replaced with emojis because people can't handle the real thing. Nothing says I'm dead inside like answering a heartfelt confession with a yellow circle making a sad face. And don't even get me started on opinions. Opinions used to be something you actually thought about. Now people refresh their beliefs like they refresh their feeds. But let me check what strangers think before I think. They don't stand for anything. They just float along like dust in the digital wind. Reality hasn't only disconnected. It's been unplugged, boxed up, and sold as a monthly subscription. And we keep paying for it, smiling like idiots, thinking the world makes sense because our devices tell us it does. Well, here's the announcement. Reality doesn't need Wi-Fi. It doesn't need your approval. It doesn't need your like, comment, or share. Reality is coming whether you're ready or not. And it's not waiting for your phone to update that people have replaced real experiences with digital illusions. And what's wild is how quietly it happened. Nobody woke up one morning and said, "Today I will stop living real life." But somewhere along the way, people started trusting the glow of a screen more than the warmth of the sun or the sound of an actual human voice. It's like everyone slowly slid into a parallel universe made of pixels, notifications, and curated moments that look real but feel as empty as an unplugged TV. Reality used to be something you bumped into, tripped over, tasted, touched, heard, or smelled. Now it's something you scroll through. People don't experience life anymore. They download it. Look at how people travel now. They don't go to enjoy the view or breathe in the air or soak in the moment. They go to take a picture of the moment. A whole experience gets reduced to a square image with a caption someone else will skim for 2 seconds. People used to travel to escape, relax, or discover something new. Now they travel to prove they were somewhere. The trip is not the adventure, the post is. Instead of creating memories, they're manufacturing evidence. And if the picture doesn't turn out right, the whole trip is a failure. Imagine explaining that to someone from 50 years ago. Yeah, the mountain was beautiful, but the lighting wasn't good, so the day was ruined. Relationships have become digital performances too. People can't sit across from each other without checking their phones like they're waiting for life to text them instructions. Moments that used to be intimate. Laughing with a friend, crying with a partner, celebrating something meaningful, are now interrupted by the need to capture content. We've reached the point where even grief is less about feeling something and more about posting something. The world has turned people into reporters of their own lives, documenting moments instead of experiencing them. Everyone is broadcasting, but nobody is living. And don't forget how people judge their own value. It's no longer about skills, kindness, wisdom, creativity, or anything that actually matters. Now it's about engagement. How many people clicked a like at something you barely cared about when you posted it? People let complete strangers decide their self-worth with a tap of a thumb. Teenagers lose sleep because a post didn't get enough attention. Adults compare their lives to carefully edited illusions. And everyone feels inadequate because the digital version of everybody else looks perfect. It's a mass hallucination no one wants to wake up from because admitting it's fake would hurt too much. Even the way people think has been hijacked by digital illusions. Instead of forming opinions, people consume them. Instead of asking questions, they search for answers that confirm what they already believe. Instead of thinking critically, they outsource their brains to algorithms. Reality becomes whatever shows up first on the screen. You could show someone something happening right in front of them, and they won't believe it unless there's a video link attached. The screen has become the new religion, the new authority. The new authority, the new truth. People don't trust their own eyes anymore. Only the reflections of the world packaged and delivered by corporations. The saddest part is that this digital illusion feels more real to people than genuine human moments. No notification gives more excitement than a conversation. A trending clip sparks more emotion than real tragedy. A virtual compliment means more than a face-to-face connection. People have traded the raw, unpredictable, uncomfortable beauty of reality for the smooth, polished, numb safety of the digital world. They don't realize they're losing something irreplaceable, the depth and richness of being alive. When life becomes a performance, you stop feeling it. When everything becomes content, nothing feels personal. And when the screen becomes more important than the world, you lose the ability to see what truly matters. Modern society is mentally offline, and the evidence is everywhere you look. People move through life with distracted eyes, half-functioning attention spans, and minds that seem permanently stuck in buffering mode. It's not that humans suddenly became less intelligent. It's that the world around them became engineered to constantly steal their focus. Every sound, every pop-up, every buzz is a tiny robbery of attention, a little pickpocket that grabs a piece of your mind and runs off with it. And after years of this non-stop bombardment, people have become mentally exhausted, emotionally undercharged, and spiritually disconnected. It's like watching a whole population run on outdated software while the world keeps demanding newer, faster processing. You can't even have a simple conversation anymore without someone drifting off mentally like a browser with too many tabs open. You say something meaningful and watch their eyes glaze over as their brain sends out a notification saying, "Please wait, reconnecting." People aren't listening, they're waiting for their turn to talk or waiting for their phone to interrupt them. The human brain wasn't built to multitask across a dozen digital distractions, but that's what modern life demands. And because nobody wants to admit they're overwhelmed, they pretend it's normal. They live in this constant fog, a kind of mental static where clarity is rare and deep thought is nearly extinct. Attention spans have shrunk to the size of a social media clip. Long conversations feel like commitments. Reading a full paragraph feels like homework. Thinking through a complex issue feels like climbing a mountain barefoot. People don't reflect anymore, they react. They don't process, they skim, they don't engage, they scroll. The entire rhythm of the mind has changed, and not for the better. When your brain is trained to chase instant gratification, anything that requires patience or discomfort feels unbearable. And this weakness spreads into every part of life. Relationships, work decisions, emotion. Everything becomes shallow because the mind isn't given the space to go deeper. And then there's the emotional disconnect. People walk around like their feelings have been put into airplane mode. They experience emotions, but they don't sit with them. They distract themselves. They drown discomfort with noise. They escape into endless feeds, videos, and notifications instead of facing their inner world. Real emotions take time, care, and attention. 3 things modern society has misplaced. Because no one wants to confront their own thoughts, they numb themselves with constant stimulation. The problem is, when you numb the bad feelings, you numb the good ones too. Joy starts to feel muted. Satisfaction becomes rare. Peace becomes impossible. Ultimately, the mental offline mode isn't an accident. It's the result of a lifestyle where people are always connected but never present. Their minds jump from one distraction to another, never settling long enough to think deeply, feel fully, or connect meaningfully. And the scariest part is that people think this is normal. They think constantly checking out mentally is just part of being human now. But humans were made for awareness, presence, and thought, not for living like background processes in their own lives. This collective disconnection is a warning sign that something essential has been lost, and the longer people ignore it, the harder it becomes to reconnect to themselves and the world around them. Reality doesn't wait for anyone, and most people don't even realize how far behind they've fallen. While everyone's busy refreshing screens, scrolling endlessly and chasing digital shadows, the real world is happening in the background like a movie nobody's watching. It keeps moving, shifting, and unfolding whether anyone pays attention or not. But people have become so absorbed in the constant noise of online life that they barely notice the passing of time, the changes in the world, or even their own emotions slipping by. Reality used to be unavoidable. Now people treat it like an optional update they can postpone. But life doesn't pause just because someone is distracted. You can see this disconnect in the way people handle real problems. Instead of dealing with issues, they escape into digital distractions. Instead of facing challenges, they search for motivational quotes. Instead of thinking about their future, they obsess over their online presence. Life demands awareness, responsibility, and effort. Things people have outsourced to algorithms and apps. The real world requires commitment. The digital world requires only your attention. And because attention is easier to give than effort, people cling to the illusion that they're engaged with life when they're really just spectators. Reality is blunt, unpredictable, and sometimes uncomfortable. It doesn't always give you what you want, and it doesn't care about your preferences. But digital life lets people pretend they're in control. They unfollow what they don't like, block what upsets them, mute what challenges them. Real life doesn't work that way. You can't swipe away consequences or delete experiences you don't enjoy. But too many people have gotten used to curated environments where discomfort is optional. So when real challenges appear, financial problems, relationship conflicts, personal failures, emotional struggles, they freeze. They don't know how to cope because they've spent years avoiding reality instead of engaging with it. This avoidance creates a dangerous illusion. The idea that real life can be paused, revisited, or edited like a piece of content. But every moment missed is gone forever. Every opportunity ignored disappears. Every relationship neglected weakens. Every dream postponed drifts further out of reach. Reality keeps taking steps forward, and people who are mentally disconnected fall behind without even noticing. They wake up one day confused about how they got where they are, blaming the world when the truth is simple. They weren't paying attention. Life was happening and they weren't in the room for it. Meanwhile, the world itself continues to shift in ways that require awareness. Economies change, societies transform, relationships evolve, and the planet itself sends warning signs. But a population glued to distraction becomes blind to the things that truly matter. People worry more about trends than consequences, memes more than meaning, and entertainment more than survival. They forget that reality is the foundation beneath all the noise. And if it collapses, the digital illusion collapses with it. In the end, reality doesn't need permission to exist. It doesn't seek approval and doesn't adjust itself to fit anyone's preferences. It simply is. And the longer people stay disconnected from it, the more it slips through their fingers. The world is still turning, still demanding attention, still offering meaning, beauty, challenge, and danger. But only those who actually reconnect, who look up, who engage, who think, who feel, will experience life instead of just watching it scroll by. In the end, everything comes back to one truth. We've traded the messiness, the depth, the unpredictability, and the rawness of being alive for the hollow comfort of glowing screens and digital illusion. We've drifted so far from ourselves that we no longer notice how disconnected we really are. From each other, from our surroundings, and from the world that keeps moving, whether we pay attention or not. Reality hasn't vanished. We've just stopped showing up for it. And the longer we stay mentally offline, emotionally numb, and spiritually absent, the more life slips by without us living any of it. The signal to the real world is still there, strong and waiting, but it's on us to tune back in. Because sooner or later, we all discover the same thing. You can ignore reality for a while, But eventually, reality stops ignoring you.